The architects of the modern food system have a $200 billion incentive to keep you dependent. They want you to believe that high-quality protein can only come from industrial feedlots, global supply chains, and massive chemical inputs. But they are hiding a truth that has been known for millennia. In 475 BC, a Chinese statesman and strategist named Fan Li wrote a treatise that would change how civilizations fed themselves for the next 2,000 years. His work, the Yang Yu Jing, described a method so efficient that a single installation could produce more protein per square foot than cattle ranching. This system provides more nutrition per acre than any industrial farm on the planet. And once you built it, it would feed your family for decades without buying feed, without permits, and without depending on anyone. Fan Li's methods survived wars, dynasties, and empires because the knowledge was too valuable to lose. But in the West, most people have never heard of backyard pond aquaculture. Even though it has fed more humans throughout history than any other protein system on Earth, that silence is not accidental. Today, we are resurrecting a regenerative ecosystem in your backyard. By the time you finish this briefing, you will understand how to build a self-replicating protein factory that feeds itself and manages itself. In 10 years, when your neighbors are worried about food prices and supply chain collapses, you will walk out to your pond and feel a calm that no amount of money can buy. But first, you need to understand what happened to this knowledge and why it was nearly lost to time. Around 3500 BC, along China's Yellow River, farmers noticed something after seasonal floods receded. Fish were trapped in low-lying areas. If they dug those depressions a little deeper and reinforced the edges, the fish stayed, thrived, and reproduced. This was not farming yet. This was observation, partnering with what the land already wanted to do. By the Tang Dynasty in the 7th century AD, something unexpected happened that revolutionized aquaculture forever. The emperor's family name was Li, which happened to be the same name as the common carp. Out of respect, or perhaps superstition, the emperor banned the farming of common carp across the entire empire. Farmers faced a crisis, as carp had been their primary protein source for over 1,000 years. But instead of starving, they innovated. They began raising multiple species in the same pond. Mud carp fed on bottom sediments. Silver carp filtered algae in the middle water column. Grass carp consumed plants at the surface. Each species occupied a different ecological niche within the same body of water. There was no competition, no waste, just a stacked, self-regulating ecosystem that was more productive than anything that had come before. This accidental policy created the world's first true polyculture system, the sovereign loop. When European settlers arrived in America, they brought cattle, pigs, and chickens. These animals required constant feeding, fencing, and labor. The idea of an edible pond that managed itself seemed too simple, almost primitive to the industrial mind. But it was not primitive. It was elegant biological engineering. By the 20th century, backyard ponds in America were considered decorative, not functional. The knowledge had been buried to support the industrial shift and keep the population dependent on centralized markets. But in the 1960s, fishery scientists led by H.S. Swingle at Auburn University began studying those old Chinese methods. They test ponds as small as 1,000 square feet, about the size of a modest above-ground pool. The results were undeniable. Auburn researchers documented yields of up to 350 pounds of fish from ponds of just 1,000 square feet. Compare that to a quarter acre of cattle pasture, which produces only 200 pounds of beef per year and requires constant care and infrastructure. These small ponds produce nearly double the protein using a tenth of the space with almost zero external inputs. The studies were published, and then the momentum stopped. No government subsidies were offered because a productive backyard pond means you stop buying from the industrial system. But the knowledge survived, and here is how the sovereign loop actually works. The pond is not just fish, it is a four-part living machine. First, you have the ducks. In traditional polyculture, waterfowl were always integrated because they are the biological managers of your pond. When they swim, they stir up sediments, releasing nutrients into the water column. When ducks defecate, they add nitrogen directly into the ecosystem. That nitrogen feeds algae, which feeds plankton, which feeds the fish. A small flock of 5 ducks will also give you up to 1,700 eggs annually. Research shows that ducks with access to pond ecosystems can forage up to 30% of their nutritional needs from the water, drastically cutting your feed costs. You are stacking functions. The ducks fertilize the water, the pond feeds the ducks, and you harvest both. Second, you have the plants. Aquatic vegetation is the kidneys and lungs of your pond. Cattails are one of the most efficient biological filters on Earth. Their roots pull excess nitrogen and phosphorus out of the water, preventing algae blooms. Floating plants like duckweed absorb nutrients so efficiently they can double their biomass in 48 hours. The ducks eat the duckweed, creating a self-renewing food source that costs you nothing. Submerged plants release oxygen during the day, which is critical for the health of your fish. Third, you have the fish. Bluegill requires zero care and reach harvestable size in 2 years. Channel catfish grow faster, reaching harvest weight within 18 months. In warm climates, tilapia can reach 1 pound in just 6 months. You are not just growing food, you are growing a self-replenishing population. Fourth, you have beneficial bacteria. These invisible workers convert fish waste into nitrates that your plants absorb. Once this nitrogen cycle is established, the system balances itself. You are not just managing a farm, you are stewarding a living system. How do you build this for yourself? For a family-scale setup, you are looking at a total cost of around $400 to $600. Choose a location with 6 hours of sunlight and dig it 10 feet by 15 feet. Make it 5 feet deep at the center to provide a refuge for fish during temperature extremes. Create a shallow shelf for your plants to act as a natural filtration zone. Seal it with clay or an EPDM rubber liner that will outlast most of the electronics in your house. Introduce life in stages. Start with the plants, let them root for a month, then add your ducks, and finally introduce your fish. For the first 6 months, you do almost nothing except watch the ducks and check the balance. By year 3, you are simply harvesting from a living ecosystem that has woven itself into your land. In most states, ponds under 1 acre do not require permits. You are simply managing rainwater on your own property. You do not need their supply chains. You need water, sun, and the patience to let biology work. 10 years from now, you will walk out to your edible pond and feel a calm that money cannot buy. This is sovereignty, the quiet kind that does not need to ask for permission. It cannot be taxed, regulated, or taken away from you. The choice to exit the system is yours. If you are ready to stop asking for permission to survive, like this video and subscribe to the Ghost Network. Johnny Bearington, signing off. The pond is waiting.